Okay guys, today we're going to be talking about why you should and why you shouldn't get a circular saw, and if you are to, what brand you should get, and also there'll be a bit included on which batteries to get. So first of all, which brand should you get? I personally would recommend DeWalt or Makita. DeWalt is very good for woodworkers, it's like the woodworking brand, it's guaranteed tough, it lasts a long time. Makita also lasts a long time, and they are still good. I'm not sure what the comparison in price is for the DeWalt and the Makita, but I know this one, which is brushless, 165mm blade, was £154.99 from its.com. I can't remember if it was on sale, it might have been. Um, Also, the batteries. The batteries are an important part. Which batteries you should get? I personally have the DeWalt 5 amp hour. This is better because it lasts longer and it does give the saw a bit more power. You could use the 5 amp power stack or the 4 amp power stack. You could also get the 8 amp tabless, but it's rather expensive. Same with the flex volt batteries, which are for the 54 volt tools, but are also compatible with 18 volt. Speaking of 54 volt, if you want to cut through harder materials, harder woods, the 54 volt saw is not only a bigger blade, but it is more powerful and it will be able to cut through them better. However, it is obviously more expensive. Now onto the blades. The blade, this one is 165mm and 20mm bore hole. They do last fairly long if you don't use them that often. They are a bit expensive, but they're not like outrageous. Obviously, the bigger the blade, the more expensive possibly, and the more you use it, it's gonna wear out more. This saw is the brushless saw, which is a bit more expensive and has the dust spout. The cheaper one, which is brushed, so it isn't as powerful, doesn't come with the dust spout. Now on to the reasons why you shouldn't. I've got to be honest, they are dangerous, and well, they can be if you're not sensible with them. But they do all have this guard. I would never get a cheap one that doesn't have a guard like that, because it is so, like, it just makes it so much safer because it moves with the wood as you cut in, so it stays flush with the wood as you push the saw forwards. And another reason why I shouldn't really get them is they're very expensive. Well, I say very, it depends which brand you get, but they can be expensive. But they're the only two reasons, to be honest. Also, this one is a left-handed saw. The blade is on the left. I am right-handed, but I just find that you can see the blade better. And it means if you're trying to use a right-handed saw with your and you're right-handed, you're holding it and the blade's here, and you've got to lean across to see. Whereas with this, I like it better. However, if you're going to get the bigger diameter saws, it will be blade right, at least for DeWalt, because I haven't seen any blade left bigger circular saws apart from the handled 54 volt one, which has the handle back here, so you're like sort of more behind than on top. Now then, there is also a rafter hook on this, which is handy, and especially if you're on a job site, it's just so helpful, and it's very comfortable to hold, and it's got this obviously extra handle. Depends, you can use it one or two-handed, and I just find this, I think this would be a perfect saw for a DIYer. As I said, you could get the brushed one, but it won't be as powerful, and I personally got this as I'm starting my apprenticeship as a carpenter soon, and I'm very keen into my woodworking. Now then, as for other brands, Makita, the saws are good and they last a long time, and they're good, and they also do a 40 volt saw, as well as an 18 like DeWalt. So I would recommend Makita. And Makita, as I've said, also a pretty bomb-proof like DeWalt. And Makita, like DeWalt, can also bevel on an angle. You use that to adjust it. It can go from 0 degrees to 50, and it can also bevel vertically, so like you can adjust the depth. And it's just, I personally think it's a very good overall saw. The max cutting depth of this is 55 millimeters, which means it can cut through 2x4 and some of the things. But if it can't cut through it, then you can always turn the wood over and cut on the other side, which does work, but it's not really ideal. But even the big circular saws with the bigger blades, they can't really cut through that much more. It's like a couple mil more. I personally don't think it's worth it unless you're doing carpentry or whatever. And the vacuums, the shop vacuums, like this one here, that hose, this hose here, there's an adapter, so this can fit on here, and it sucks the sawdust up so it doesn't go absolutely everywhere. And I know that for the Makita 40-volt one, I think, or it might be 18 as well, but there's a Bluetooth, so you can link the saw to the vacuum, so when the saw turns on, the vacuum also does. I believe that is a corded saw, the Makita Bluetooth one. Corded saw, not corded, sorry, cordless, the Makita one is. I believe that corded Makita saws, well, corded saws in general, corded Makita and DeWalt are good. They are more powerful. However, obviously you've got to watch not to cut the cord, because if you do, well, it's not really safe, and the tools, well, it's not going to work. You'll have to get a new cord or replace it. They do have a safety. You have to press this down and pull the trigger for it to work, and it has an electronic brake, so as soon as you let this off, or let the trigger off, it will stop almost instantly. The only thing you've got to make sure you do is put the blade on properly and tighten it up. This one did come with a tool. I think most of them will. But yeah, I do think they're very versatile tools that can cut through lots of things. You just need to get the blades. So I personally think you should get one. Obviously it's up to you and what you're going to be doing, but they are very versatile and very handy. And I hope this has helped you, and I hope you enjoyed it, and please like and subscribe because it is very much appreciated. Thank you.